Theodore Bryant was 41 years old when he watched his wife claim his lottery ticket as her own. For 14 years, he'd been a loyal husband and devoted middle school science teacher in Philadelphia. Every Thursday evening for those 14 years, he bought the same lottery numbers, family birth dates, their anniversary. That Saturday morning, he checked the results online. $502 million. One winner. His numbers. His ticket was gone from the kitchen drawer. What Teo found in his wife Nicole's locked desk made his hands shake. The winning ticket, divorce papers, and detailed plans for how she'd claim the jackpot as hers alone before leaving him. By Monday, she'd claimed the prize. By Thursday, she'd used her new fortune to have him evicted from his own home with a police escort, while she and her lover watched from the doorway, drinking wine. Nicole called him "someone like you" as he drove away with everything he owned. She had no idea Pennsylvania law would let him take back every single dollar. What happened next would cost Nicole everything she thought she'd stolen. Before we jump into the story, comment where in the world you are watching from and subscribe, because tomorrow's story is one you need to hear. The hum of the radiator filled Teo's modest living room as he spread student papers across the coffee table. Red pen in hand, he smiled at Jenny Martinez's detailed diagram of cellular mitosis. Even with spelling errors, her understanding of the process showed real progress. Teaching moments like these made the modest salary worth it. Upstairs, the shower ran steadily. Nicole had come home late again, barely speaking, before heading up to wash off another intensive networking event. These late nights had become more frequent over the past year, along with the designer bags that somehow fit into their tight budget. The coffee table vibrated as Nicole's phone lit up for the third time. Teo normally wouldn't even glance at it. Trust had been the foundation of their 14-year marriage. But something felt different lately. The secret phone calls, the sudden business trips, the growing disdain in her voice when she talked about their row house or his teaching career. The phone buzzed again. His hand hesitated over it, years of respect for her privacy warring with a gnawing doubt. The screen flashed another notification. Desmond Clark. Taking a deep breath, Teo picked up the phone. The message preview made his stomach clench. "Soon we won't have to hide. Once you handle the Teo situation, we can live the life we deserve. The life you deserve." With trembling fingers, Teo opened the full message thread. His chest tightened as he scrolled through months of exchanges. Intimate photos, plans for secret weekend getaways disguised as work conferences, pet names and explicit messages that burned his eyes. Got the hotel booked for next weekend's marketing seminar. Dated 3 weeks ago. Miss your touch already. Can't wait until we don't have to sneak around. From 2 months ago. He's so simple. Content with that tiny house and teaching job. You deserve someone who can give you everything. 6 months ago. 10 months of betrayal unfolded before him. 10 months of lies while he'd packed her lunches, supported her career, loved her completely. Teo's vision blurred, but his hands remained steady as he photographed message after message. He forwarded everything to his email, saved screenshots to his cloud drive, documented timestamps and dates with scientific precision. The shower shut off upstairs. Teo quickly replaced the phone exactly as he'd found it, positioning it at the same angle. He picked up his red pen just as Nicole's footsteps descended the stairs. She appeared wearing her silk robe, hair wrapped in a towel. The scent of her expensive shower gel filled the room, another recent luxury purchase that had raised eyebrows on their budget. "Still grading?" she asked, her tone carrying that subtle note of condescension that had crept in over the past year. "You work too hard for what they pay you." "Just finishing up," Teo replied, his voice remarkably steady despite the inferno in his chest. "How was your networking event?" "Oh, same old shop talk." She waved dismissively. The developer from New York was there again. The one I told you about? He's interested in some major projects downtown. Desmond Clark. The man from the messages. Teo nodded, maintaining his composed expression. Sounds promising. It could be. She smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. I'm exhausted, though. Going to head to bed. I'll be up soon, Teo said, forcing himself to return her smile. She bent down and kissed his cheek, the casual affection feeling like acid on his skin. The next 2 days passed in a fog of routine and restraint. Teo taught his classes, attended faculty meetings, and continued his normal schedule while carrying the weight of his discovery. Every interaction with Nicole felt like a performance now, each casual touch and domestic exchange underlaid with devastating knowledge. Thursday evening arrived. Like clockwork, Teo stopped at Rivera's corner store on his way home from school. James Rivera looked up from his crossword puzzle with a warm smile. "Thursday night lottery run, Mr. Bryant?" he asked, already reaching for the Powerball slip. "You know me, James." Teo managed a genuine smile for the store owner who'd been part of his weekly ritual for 14 years. "Same numbers as always." He pulled out his debit card and carefully entered his customary numbers. Nicole's birthday, his birthday, their anniversary date, his parents' anniversary. Numbers that had once held such meaning, now feeling like monuments to betrayal. James printed the ticket and handed it over with the receipt. "Good luck this week. Maybe this will be the one." "Maybe so," Teo replied, tucking both items safely in his wallet. At home, he followed his usual routine, placing the ticket in the kitchen drawer where he'd kept them for 14 years, next to the measuring spoons and pizza cutter. Nicole barely glanced up from her phone as he moved around the kitchen preparing dinner. Friday evening found Teo at the school's science fair, helping his students explain their projects to parents and judges. He missed the live Powerball drawing, but that was normal. Checking the numbers was his Saturday morning ritual. When he woke the next morning, Nicole was already gone. Another breakfast meeting. Teo made his coffee and settled at the kitchen table with his laptop, pulling up the Pennsylvania Lottery website. His eyes widened as he read the announcement. $502 million Powerball jackpot. One winner in Philadelphia. Fingers trembling slightly, he clicked to view the winning numbers. His coffee grew cold beside him as he stared at the screen, checking and rechecking the familiar sequence. They matched. Every single number matched. Heart hammering against his ribs, Teo stared at the numbers glowing on his laptop screen. They were his numbers, the same combination he'd played religiously every Thursday for 14 years. Nicole's birthday, his birthday, their anniversary, his parents' anniversary. A sequence that had become muscle memory after so many years of hopeful routine. He jumped up from the kitchen table, coffee forgotten, and yanked open the drawer where he always kept the tickets. Measuring spoons clattered against the pizza cutter as he rifled through the contents. Empty. No ticket. Stay calm, he whispered to himself, fighting down the panic rising in his throat. Think methodically. He searched the kitchen systematically. Every drawer, cabinet, and countertop. Nothing. Living room next. Between couch cushions, magazine rack, end table drawers. Still nothing. His hands were steady, but his pulse raced as he climbed the stairs to their bedroom. The sound of his own breathing seemed unnaturally loud as he moved through the silent house. Nicole's home office door stood slightly ajar. Inside, her desk dominated the small space, a recent purchase she'd insisted on, complete with a locked drawer for sensitive client documents. Teo hesitated only a moment before kneeling in front of the drawer. The combination was their anniversary date. She'd never bothered changing it from when they used to share everything. The lock clicked open with familiar numbers that now felt like mockery. There, nestled between folders, lay his lottery ticket. Beside it, a stack of printed papers about Pennsylvania lottery claim procedures, detailed notes comparing lump sum versus annuity payment options, and tax implications of major windfalls. A business card for Bradford Wealth Management sat on top, with Monday 9 a.m. urgent, written in Nicole's precise handwriting. She'd been planning this. While he taught science to 7th graders on Friday, she'd been researching how to claim his winning ticket. Years of teaching scientific methodology kicked in, focusing his racing thoughts. Evidence. He needed evidence. With trembling fingers, Teo pulled out his phone and photographed the ticket from multiple angles, making sure the serial number was clearly visible in each shot. He carefully documented her handwritten notes, the wealth management appointment card, the lottery procedure printouts. Next, he retrieved the receipt from his wallet. He always kept them for a week, another part of his Thursday ritual. The date and time were clear. Thursday, 6:47 p.m. Rivera's Corner Store. Opening his banking app, he confirmed the matching debit card transaction. His teacher's laptop was still open downstairs. Teo spent the next hour researching Pennsylvania lottery law, taking screenshots of relevant statutes. The ticket holder was presumed to be the owner, but the actual purchaser could legally contest ownership with proper documentation. His heart steadied slightly. There was a path forward. With painstaking precision, Teo returned everything to its exact position in the drawer. The lock clicked shut, resetting their anniversary date to protect someone else's secrets. That afternoon, he found Nicole in the kitchen, scrolling through her phone while sipping expensive coffee. His voice came out remarkably steady. "Hey, babe, did you check our lottery numbers? I think I left the ticket in the drawer." Nicole's response was perfectly smooth, rehearsed. "Oh, I grabbed it when I was tidying up yesterday. It's in my purse. We didn't win anything. Maybe $1 or $2. You sure?" Teo pressed gently. "I had a good feeling about this week." She laughed, the sound hollow to his ears now. "Teo, honey, we never win. It's fine. Don't get your hopes up." She kissed his forehead like he was a child, then grabbed her purse. "I've got a weekend open house showing. Don't wait up." Sunday crawled by in a haze of focused documentation. Teo made multiple copies of everything. The receipt, 14 years of bank statements showing his Thursday lottery purchases, all the affair evidence. He emailed everything to himself, then drove to his brother Isaiah's house to store physical copies. Monday morning, Teo called the school secretary. "Martha, I'm sorry, but I need to take a sick day." His first in 4 years. The concern in her voice was genuine. He never missed work. At 8:30 a.m., he pulled out of his driveway, hands clenched on the steering wheel as he headed toward the Pennsylvania Lottery headquarters in Middletown. The morning traffic crawled along I-76, each delayed minute adding to his anxiety. He had to get there before Nicole could claim the ticket, had to expose the theft before she could complete her betrayal. The GPS showed his arrival time as 9:30 a.m., 1 hour too late. Through the tinted glass walls of the Pennsylvania Lottery headquarters, Teo watched his life dissolve. Nicole stood at the claims desk, radiant in an expensive navy suit, her perfectly manicured hand moving across papers with practiced confidence. Beside her, Desmond Clark loomed tall in his tailored gray suit, while a third man, clearly a high-powered attorney based on his leather briefcase and commanding presence, gestured at various documents. Teo's fingers gripped his steering wheel until his knuckles went white. He'd spent 14 years playing those numbers. 14 years of Thursday evening stops at Rivera's store. 14 years of quiet hope built around birthdays and anniversaries that had once meant something. Now he watched through glass as strangers celebrated his win. The morning sun felt sharp against his eyes as he sat paralyzed in his Honda Civic, a decade-old car that suddenly seemed to embody everything Nicole had grown to resent. Security cameras swept the parking lot where her gleaming Mercedes sat like a proclamation of victory. Inside, Nicole laughed at something Desmond said, her head thrown back with practiced elegance. The claims agent smiled warmly, clearly charmed by the beautiful woman claiming life-changing wealth. More signatures, more papers passed across the desk. Teo's receipt burned in his wallet, useless now that she'd beaten him here. At 10:15 a.m., they emerged through the building's main doors. Nicole practically floated, her face glowing with triumph. Desmond's arms snaked possessively around her waist, marking his territory. The lawyer handed them each his business card with a final handshake. Teo's phone buzzed against his thigh. A text from Nicole. "Something amazing happened. Need to talk tonight. I have incredible news." The heart emoji twisted in his chest like a knife. He watched them climb into their separate luxury vehicles, Nicole to her Mercedes, Desmond to his Porsche, and drive away, leaving him alone in a parking lot with his worthless proof of purchase. Hours crawled by. Teo drove aimlessly, unable to focus enough to return to school, unwilling to go home and face empty rooms. At 7 p.m., he finally pulled into their driveway. Nicole's car was already there, along with a bottle of Dom Perignon chilling in an ice bucket on the kitchen counter. She burst through the door moments later, designer shopping bags in one hand, that enormous fake smile plastered across her face. "Teo, you won't believe this. I bought a lottery ticket last week, just on a whim. You know how I never play. And I won. I won the Powerball. $502 million. He forced his features into shocked surprise. "What? Are you serious? I already claimed it today. After taxes, it's about $311 million lump sum. Can you believe it? We're set for life." But her eyes were cold, calculating. This wasn't joy. It was performance, every gesture carefully choreographed for maximum effect. "That's incredible, Nicole. I can't believe it." Teo swallowed hard. "When did you buy the ticket?" "Last Thursday. I stopped at a store on the way home from work. Pure impulse, and now everything changes for us." Every word was a lie. Different store, different time, different money, different everything. "This is amazing, babe. We can finally—" "Actually, Teo," Nicole cut him off, her tone shifting dramatically. The warmth vanished from her voice. "We need to talk about something else. I've been unhappy for a long time. I've been seeing someone else. His name is Desmond. We're in love. I'm filing for divorce." Teo let real pain show through his act. "Nicole, we can work through this. We've been together 14 years. There's nothing to work through. I've moved on. This is my lottery win, my money, and I need to start my new life. I'm not trying to be cruel, but you need to understand. This changes everything. What about our house, our marriage? I'll be fair." Her lips curved in what might have been meant as a kind smile but came across as predatory. "I'm offering you $150,000 cash. That's generous, Teo, more than generous. If you sign a quitclaim deed giving me full ownership of the house and agree to an uncontested divorce. You can find a nice apartment. Start fresh. I'm not trying to hurt you. This is my home too. I'm not leaving." Nicole's expression hardened. "Then you're making a mistake. I have $311 million now, Teo. I can afford the best lawyers in Pennsylvania. I can bury you in motions and legal fees until you're bankrupt. Or you can take my offer and leave with dignity. Your choice. I'm not signing anything. We'll see." Tuesday morning, Nicole filed for divorce, citing irreconcilable differences. That afternoon, her aggressive attorneys filed an emergency motion for exclusive possession of the marital home, claiming she needed privacy and safety during this emotionally volatile transition, and that Teo's presence was destabilizing and potentially threatening. The motion included false allegations that Teo had been increasingly agitated and confrontational since learning about the divorce, that Nicole feared for her safety, and that she needed the marital home for security reasons, given her new financial circumstances. Wednesday at 2 p.m., the emergency hearing began. Nicole's attorneys presented their case to a family court judge. Teo, caught off guard and representing himself, tried to argue that the house was marital property, and he had every right to stay. But Nicole's lawyers were polished, aggressive, and armed with her wealth. They painted Teo as an unstable, jealous husband who posed a risk to their client, a vulnerable woman who had just won a life-changing lottery prize. The judge granted the temporary order. Teo must vacate within 48 hours pending final divorce proceedings. Thursday evening at 6 p.m., Nicole arrived at the house with Desmond, her lead attorney Catherine Price, and 2 police officers to enforce the eviction order. "Mr. Bryant," one officer said apologetically, "I have a court order requiring you to vacate these premises. You have 2 hours to collect your personal belongings." Teo pulled into Isaiah's driveway just after 9 p.m., his Honda Civic packed so full he could barely see out the back window. The trunk held what remained of his life: clothes, teaching materials, a few pieces of furniture Nicole had deemed unimportant enough for him to take. The rest of his possessions sat in what used to be his home, now claimed by a woman he barely recognized. Isaiah stood waiting on the front steps, arms crossed over his broad chest. As a construction supervisor, he'd built his career solving problems with direct action. The muscles in his jaw tightened as he watched Teo park. "I can't believe this," Isaiah growled, helping Teo unload boxes. "My little brother getting kicked out of his own house by that." "Don't," Teo cut him off quietly. "Just help me get these inside." The basement apartment was modest but clean. A bedroom, small living area, kitchenette. Isaiah had renovated it himself last year, never imagining it would become his brother's refuge. They carried in load after load in tense silence until the car was empty. "She can't do this," Isaiah finally exploded, pacing the small space. "I should go over there right now. Show her and that fancy boyfriend what happens when you mess with family." "No." Teo's voice was firm despite his exhaustion. "This has to be done legally, completely. She stole from you millions, and now you're sleeping in my basement while she lives in your house? It's temporary." Teo sat heavily on the second-hand couch they'd just carried down. "I have evidence. I have proof. But if we handle this wrong, if we do anything stupid or illegal, she wins permanently." Isaiah ran a hand over his face, struggling to contain his rage. "Then what's the plan?" "Tomorrow morning I meet with a lawyer, Patricia Keene. The divorce attorney? I've heard of her. She's expensive. She's worth it. And she'll work on contingency when she sees what I have." At 8 a.m. sharp the next morning, Teo sat across from Patricia Keene in her downtown office. Her reputation preceded her, a formidable presence who'd fought her way from North Philadelphia to become one of the city's most feared divorce attorneys. Her office walls displayed degrees from Howard University and Penn Law, along with framed newspaper articles about her biggest victories against wealthy spouses who tried to cheat their partners. "Show me what you have," she said simply. Teo laid out his evidence methodically. The purchase receipt with matching serial number, 14 years of bank statements showing his Thursday evening lottery purchases, screenshots of the affair evidence, a detailed timeline proving Nicole had stolen the ticket and lied about purchasing it. "I've already requested security footage from Rivera's corner store," he explained, "and here are Nicole's statements to the Lottery Commission claiming she bought the ticket at a completely different location." Patricia's eyes lit up as she examined document after document. Her perfectly manicured fingers traced the dates, the numbers, the clear paper trail of deception. "Mr. Bryant," she said finally, "this is the most clear-cut case of lottery fraud I've ever seen. She stole your ticket, lied to state officials about when and where she bought it, and claimed your prize. But she's already been paid out. We're not preventing a crime. We're reversing one. Can we win? It will be a fight. She has unlimited resources now, but your evidence is ironclad." Patricia began writing rapidly. Here's our strategy. We file an immediate legal challenge to her lottery claim. Sue her for fraud, theft, conversion, and unjust enrichment. We'll subpoena the Lottery Commission records, get that store security footage, and depose her under oath about the ticket purchase. Most importantly, we file for an emergency injunction freezing the proceeds and request forensic accounting of every dollar she's already spent. She looked up sharply. But understand this, she has access to $311 million for lawyers. This will get vicious. They'll attack your character, drag this out, try to break you down. Are you prepared for that? Teo met her gaze steadily. She stole from me, lied to my face, kicked me out of my home, and humiliated me in front of my community. I'm prepared. Patricia nodded, satisfied. I'll take the case on contingency, 25% of whatever we recover. But you'll need a private investigator. I recommend Raymond Porter, former Philadelphia detective. He's thorough, discreet, and he knows how to build a case. Teo wrote a check for $8,400, his entire personal savings, to hire Porter. By early afternoon, the wheels were in motion. At 1 p.m., Teo walked into his classroom at Franklin Middle School, perfectly composed in pressed khakis and a blue button-down shirt. No one watching him explain chemical reactions to seventh graders would have guessed he was homeless, betrayed, and in the opening stages of a multi-million-dollar legal battle. He moved through his lessons with practiced ease, helping students balance equations while his mind ran parallel calculations about evidence and strategy. Every time his phone vibrated, he checked it discreetly, waiting for updates from Patricia or Porter. But to his students, he was simply Mr. Bryant, patient, focused, exactly as he'd always been. Over the next week, Raymond Porter's investigation peeled back layers of deception that made Teo's stomach turn. Each morning, the former detective's reports arrived in Patricia's office with new revelations, each more calculated than the last. 7 months ago, Raymond explained, spreading bank statements across Patricia's desk while Teo sat quietly. Nicole opened an account at Wells Fargo using her work address. Started small, 200 here, 300 there, all transferred from your joint account. Teo recognized the dates, when Nicole had suggested they stop reviewing monthly statements together, claiming it was too stressful to track every penny. He'd agreed, wanting to ease her anxiety. Now he understood why. Total amount siphoned, just under $12,000, Raymond continued. Small enough that missing money could be explained by shopping, lunch meetings, normal expenses, but regular deposits, building a reserve. Patricia made notes while Teo studied the statements. His teacher's salary meant every dollar mattered. He'd been brown bagging lunches while Nicole secretly built her escape fund. 3 months ago, Raymond pulled out more documents. She had initial consultations with 3 different divorce attorneys, paid in cash from that secret account, was shopping for the most aggressive representation before the lottery even happened. Teo remembered that time period. Nicole had taken several personal days from work, claiming migraines. He'd made her soup, brought her ginger ale, worried about her health. Meanwhile, she'd been planning his removal from her life. The locked desk drawer, Raymond continued, purchased 8 weeks ago from an office supply store. She kept the receipt, filed it carefully, creating evidence of separate property for the divorce she was planning. But it was the text messages that truly gutted him. Raymond had discovered Desmond's unsecured cloud backup. The man's arrogance extended to his passwords, and found conversations stretching back months. Nicole to Desmond, 4 months before the win. He's so predictable. Same numbers every week. If those stupid tickets ever hit big, that's my ticket out. I just need to be ready to grab it first. Teo's hands clenched as Raymond read more messages. His weekly ritual of buying tickets, his sentimental use of family birth dates. She'd turned it all into surveillance, watching for her opportunity. 1 week before the win, tickets are always in kitchen drawer. He checks Saturday mornings like clockwork. If we ever win, I'll claim it Friday night or Saturday before he even knows. This wasn't opportunistic, Patricia said quietly. She was lying in wait, planning to steal any significant win. The fact that it happened now just accelerated her timeline. Raymond's investigation into Desmond revealed equally calculated predation. The developer was drowning in $2.8 million of debt across failing projects. Creditors were threatening lawsuits. His divorce from his previous wife had drained his reserves. He researched Nicole before approaching her, Raymond explained, showing social media timestamps, studied her LinkedIn, Facebook, mutual connections. He knew about her marriage, her job, her ambitions, found out which industry events she attended, the chance meeting where they met. Completely orchestrated. Teo remembered Nicole mentioning that first encounter, how Desmond had seemed so interested in her career, so understanding about her frustrations, so coincidentally aligned with her goals. Now he understood why. Their early messages show his strategy, Raymond continued. He cultivated her dissatisfaction, encouraged her material aspirations, positioned himself as her ticket to a better life. He was hunting for someone with financial potential, whether through her career or, as luck provided, a lottery ticket. 1 week after Teo's eviction, Patricia assembled their complete legal challenge package. The filing was thick with evidence: civil lawsuit for fraud, theft, and conversion, formal challenge with the Pennsylvania Lottery Commission, emergency motion to freeze the remaining proceeds, request for expedited hearing. Raymond's surveillance team reported the moment Nicole was served with papers Tuesday morning. She'd been leaving a luxury car dealership, shopping for a second vehicle with Teo's stolen money. The process server caught her in the parking lot. For the next 7 hours, Nicole and Desmond huddled with their legal team in downtown offices. Through his contacts, Raymond provided periodic updates to Patricia. "She's screaming," he reported mid-afternoon, "throwing things. Desmond looks terrified. Their attorneys just explained Pennsylvania lottery law. If Teo proves he purchased the ticket, the prize belongs to him as the purchaser. Possession doesn't equal ownership when fraud is involved." In the weeks following Teo's eviction, Nicole and Desmond embraced their newfound wealth with reckless abandon. Their social media accounts became showcases of excess: champagne brunches, designer shopping sprees, and constant celebrations of their blessed new life together. Nicole's departure from her real estate marketing job became office legend. She strode into her boss's corner office wearing a $12,000 Chanel suit, dropped her resignation letter on his desk, and declared, "I don't need you or this pathetic salary anymore. I'm worth hundreds of millions now." The entire floor watched her theatrical exit, designer heels clicking against marble as she left behind a decade of employment. Within days, they purchased a $5.3 million mansion in Wayne's most exclusive neighborhood. A sprawling stone estate with 6 bedrooms, indoor pool, and 3 acres of manicured grounds. Nicole selected a gleaming Mercedes S-Class in metallic silver, $145,000, while Desmond chose a racing yellow Porsche 911, $180,000. Their 4-car garage filled quickly with luxury vehicles that Nicole photographed constantly for Instagram. Their housewarming party became the talk of Philadelphia's main line. 200 guests, celebrity chef catering, ice sculptures, and a live band. Nicole wore diamonds and posed for endless photos, making sure every image showed her living her best life away from Teo. Their new home became party central. Weekly gatherings where expensive wine flowed freely and guests marveled at their apparent prosperity. To mutual friends, Nicole spun a careful narrative. Teo was delusional and bitter, making false accusations because he's jealous of my success. She positioned herself as the victim of an obsessive ex-husband who couldn't handle that I won the lottery and moved on to someone better. Some initially believed her performance, especially newer acquaintances dazzled by her wealth, but most saw through the facade. Teo had 17 years of community roots. Parents knew him as their children's dedicated science teacher, colleagues respected his quiet integrity, neighbors remembered his consistent kindness. When Nicole claimed Teo was unstable, people who'd known him for years simply shook their heads. Behind their mansion's perfect facade, the first cracks appeared as Patricia's legal team assembled their evidence. Security footage from Rivera's corner store showed Teo clearly purchasing the winning ticket Thursday at 6:47 p.m., his familiar routine captured in crisp digital detail. James Rivera, the 68-year-old store owner, provided a detailed affidavit. Teo Bryant has purchased lottery tickets from my store every Thursday evening for 14 years. Same numbers every week. He told me once they were family birth dates. He's a good man, always asks about my grandchildren. I remember him buying that ticket specifically because we talked about his student's science fair. Bank records proved definitively that Teo's debit card was charged $10 at Rivera's store at exactly 6:47 p.m. Thursday, the timestamp matching the security footage perfectly. The Pennsylvania Lottery Commission's records showed Nicole claiming the ticket Monday at 9:20 a.m. But Nicole's critical error emerged from the claim paperwork itself. When filing, she'd told the lottery official, "I purchased this ticket Thursday evening, correct day," but claimed she bought it at the 7-Eleven on Market Street, the wrong store entirely, as Teo had purchased it at Rivera's on Broad Street. Patricia's deposition of Nicole became legendary among Philadelphia legal circles. In a sterile conference room, Nicole sat perfectly groomed in designer clothes while Patricia methodically dismantled her story. "Mrs. Bryant, you stated under oath you purchased this ticket at 7-Eleven on Market Street, correct?" "Yes, Thursday evening after work." "Then please explain how security footage shows your husband purchasing a ticket with the exact same serial number at Rivera's corner store on Broad Street at 6:47 p.m. that same day." That must be a different ticket. The serial numbers match exactly. Are you suggesting there were two identical tickets? He must have copied my numbers. Your husband's bank records show he purchased the ticket at Rivera's at 6:47 p.m. Mr. Rivera provided sworn testimony about his 14-year pattern of buying tickets with these specific numbers. How do you explain this? Nicole's polished veneer cracked. Her attorney called for a break as she began to unravel. During discovery, Patricia uncovered the financial records that shattered Nicole's fairy tale completely. Desmond had already spent $1.4 million of the lottery money. He'd paid off creditors threatening lawsuits over his failed developments, poured money into his struggling projects, and purchased luxury items including a vacation home in the Bahamas titled solely in his name. When Nicole discovered the unauthorized spending and confronted him, Desmond's response revealed his true nature. "We're partners now, baby. What's yours is ours. That's how relationships work." His casual dismissal of her fury showed no real affection, only the entitled assumption of access to her wealth. Standing in their mansion's massive kitchen, watching Desmond scroll through his phone while brushing off her concerns, Nicole finally saw the truth. He had never loved her. She was simply a target, a solution to his financial problems, and now he was bleeding her dry. But she couldn't confront this reality without admitting an even harder truth. She had stolen the ticket that made her wealthy in the first place. Week 5, after Teo's eviction, Judge Denise Marshall studied the mountain of evidence before her with methodical precision. Her reading glasses perched on the edge of her nose as she reviewed bank statements, text messages, and surveillance footage. After 3 hours of careful consideration, she delivered her ruling on Patricia's emergency motion to freeze the lottery proceeds. While the evidence presents serious concerns about the legitimacy of Mrs. Bryant's lottery claim, Judge Marshall stated, her voice firm and measured, A complete asset freeze would be overly restrictive at this stage. However, significant controls are necessary. Her compromise ruling sent shockwaves through both legal teams. Nicole could continue spending from the prize money, but with strict limitations. She had to maintain detailed accounting of every dollar spent, could not transfer any assets out of Pennsylvania, and was prohibited from reckless dissipation of funds pending the trial's outcome. Nicole's face twisted with rage as the judge read the restrictions. No more impulse purchases of luxury cars. No more transferring millions to Desmond's projects. No more shopping sprees without documentation. Her unlimited spending party was over. "This is ridiculous," Nicole hissed at her attorney, Catherine Price. "It's my money. She can't tell me how to spend it." "Lower your voice," Catherine warned sharply. "The judge can still hear you." The court scheduled the trial for 4 weeks out, an unusually rapid timeline reflecting the urgent nature of the dispute. As those weeks progressed, the systematic dismantling of Nicole's carefully constructed fantasy accelerated. Patricia's team uncovered Nicole's Google search history from the week before the lottery win. The timestamps painted a damning picture of premeditation. Monday, 2:14 p.m. How to claim lottery ticket in Pennsylvania. Monday, 3:27 p.m. Can spouse claim lottery ticket without other spouse knowing? Tuesday, 9:03 a.m. Lottery ticket ownership law, Pennsylvania. Wednesday, 1:15 p.m. Hiding assets from spouse during divorce. Even more devastating, text messages emerged between Nicole and Catherine Price from 2 weeks before the lottery win, discussing asset protection strategies for an upcoming divorce. Nicole had been planning her exit long before claiming Teo's winning ticket. The financial advisor's notes from Nicole's Monday morning appointment, hours before she claimed the prize, were equally incriminating. The detailed outline covered establishing sole ownership of windfall funds and minimizing spouses' potential claims through strategic timing. "Every single piece of evidence shows planning," Patricia explained to Teo during a strategy meeting. "She didn't just stumble across your ticket and make an impulsive decision. She orchestrated this theft for months." The pressure began affecting Nicole and Desmond's relationship. With spending restricted and legal walls closing in, Desmond realized he might not get to keep the money he'd already taken. His solution was swift and ruthless. He approached Patricia's team, offering to testify against Nicole. "She told me weeks before they won that she was going to take Teo's ticket if they hit it big," Desmond revealed in a sworn statement. "She said she was just waiting for the right moment. I have emails where she laid out the whole plan." He provided their entire text message history, including exchanges where Nicole discussed monitoring Teo's lottery purchase patterns and planning the optimal timing for her theft. Desmond's betrayal was complete. He threw Nicole entirely under the bus to protect himself from criminal prosecution. When Nicole discovered his betrayal, their final confrontation shook the mansion's marble halls. "You lying piece of garbage!" she screamed, hurling a crystal vase at his head. "I gave you everything." "You didn't give me anything," Desmond sneered, dodging the projectile. "You stole it, and I'm not going down with you." He packed his bags that night, leaving Nicole alone in their sprawling house. But Nicole's desperate spiral wasn't finished. Patricia uncovered her most recent mistake: an attempted bribe of James Rivera just 2 weeks earlier. Nicole had visited his corner store late one evening, offering the owner $50,000 cash to either forget Teo's years of lottery purchases or testify that he couldn't clearly remember who bought the winning ticket. James Rivera, disgusted by the attempt, reported it immediately to Teo's legal team. He even recorded the conversation on his store's security system, capturing Nicole's crude attempt at witness tampering in high definition. Patricia didn't hesitate. She filed a motion adding the witness tampering charge to their civil case and referred the evidence to the district attorney's office for potential criminal prosecution. Nicole's carefully constructed world was collapsing entirely. The legal case against her was now overwhelming. Her spending was restricted. Desmond had betrayed and abandoned her. She faced possible criminal charges. Her family had distanced themselves, mortified by the scandal. Former friends stopped accepting her calls. She rattled around the vast, empty mansion alone, a $5.3 million prison she couldn't afford if she lost the case. Designer clothes still wrapped in plastic hung in massive closets. Expensive furniture sat unused in perfectly decorated rooms. The indoor pool echoed with silence. Trial was scheduled to begin Monday morning. Nicole sat in her marble kitchen Sunday night, staring at her phone. No messages, no calls, no one left to turn to. The only sound was the steady tick of an antique clock, counting down the hours until she would face justice. Monday morning arrived with heavy rain drumming against the Philadelphia County Court's grand windows. The marble corridors echoed with footsteps as attorneys, witnesses, and spectators filed into courtroom 4A for what local media had dubbed the lottery theft trial. Teo sat quietly beside Patricia at the plaintiff's table, his posture straight but not rigid, wearing the same modest suit he'd worn to parent-teacher conferences for years. Across the aisle, Nicole perched in a designer outfit that probably cost more than Teo's monthly salary, but her usual confidence seemed brittle today. Judge Michael Henderson entered, and the packed courtroom rose. "Be seated," he commanded, his voice carrying natural authority. "We are here to determine rightful ownership of Pennsylvania Powerball Prize number 2023-147. Ms. E. Keene, you may proceed with your opening statement." Patricia rose smoothly, her presence commanding immediate attention. "Your Honor, this case is about theft, fraud, and betrayal. We will prove through clear, documented evidence that Theodore Bryant purchased the winning lottery ticket, that Nicole Bryant stole that ticket, and that she deliberately claimed a prize she knew wasn't hers." Over the next 8 hours, Patricia methodically constructed an airtight case. She started with the foundation, Teo's 14-year pattern of lottery purchases. Bank statements filled 3 massive binders, showing every Thursday evening transaction at Rivera's corner store since 2009. The records painted a picture of clockwork consistency. "And these numbers," Patricia indicated on a display screen, "what significance do they have, Mr. Bryant?" "They're our family dates," Teo explained calmly. "My parents' birthdays, Nicole's birthday, our wedding anniversary. I've played the same numbers every week since we married." The security footage from Rivera's store played next. The timestamp clearly showed 6:47 p.m. Thursday evening as Teo entered, greeted James Rivera warmly, and purchased his weekly tickets. The camera angle captured the transaction perfectly. Teo using his debit card, receiving his receipt, carefully checking his numbers. James Rivera's testimony proved particularly powerful. The elderly store owner spoke with quiet certainty. "Mr. Bryant has bought tickets from me every Thursday evening for 14 years. Same numbers, same time, like clockwork. He's always polite, always asks about my grandkids. When he bought that winning ticket, it was just like any other Thursday." "And you're certain it was Mr. Bryant who purchased this specific ticket?" Patricia asked. "Absolutely certain," James nodded. "I remember because he joked that maybe this would be his lucky week. I still have the security footage backup and his receipt with the matching serial number." Patricia then displayed Teo's receipt alongside the winning ticket. The serial numbers matched perfectly. The debit card records showed the exact time and amount. The evidence of ownership was overwhelming. Day 2 focused on exposing Nicole's deception. Patricia played the timeline like a symphony conductor, each piece of evidence building on the last. She showed photos Teo had taken of the ticket hidden in Nicole's locked drawer, surrounded by her handwritten notes about claiming procedures. "Note the date on these documents," Patricia highlighted. Mrs. Bryant was researching how to claim lottery prizes before the winning numbers were even drawn. Why prepare to claim a prize you don't know you've won? The text messages between Nicole and Desmond drew audible gasps from the gallery. Message after message showed Nicole discussing her plans to steal any significant lottery win, tracking Teo's purchase patterns, calculating the optimal timing. Desmond's video deposition played on the courtroom screens. He appeared nervous, but clear. Nicole told me weeks before they won that she was planning to take Teo's ticket if they hit it big. She said she just needed to wait for the right moment. The security footage of Nicole attempting to bribe James Rivera proved particularly damaging. The store's high-definition cameras captured her offering him $50,000 to forget Teo's purchases or change his testimony. Patricia's closing statement for Day 2 cut straight to the heart. Nicole Bryant didn't win the lottery. She stole someone else's winning ticket, lied to state officials about purchasing it, then used stolen funds to evict the rightful owner from his own home. This isn't a marital dispute. It's theft, fraud, and the betrayal of a faithful husband who trusted her for 14 years. Day 3 opened with Nicole's defense. Catherine Price argued skillfully despite her weak position. Possession of a lottery ticket traditionally establishes ownership. Even if Mr. Bryant purchased this ticket, it was bought with marital funds during the marriage, making it marital property. Both spouses have equal claim to marital assets. She tried to frame the case as a simple divorce dispute. This belongs in divorce proceedings as part of normal asset division. My client acted in good faith, believing this was shared marital property. Mr. Bryant's evidence is circumstantial at best. Finally, Nicole took the stand. Gone was her earlier arrogance, replaced by carefully practiced humility. "I found the ticket in the kitchen," she testified, voice trembling slightly. "I assumed it was ours, a shared marital ticket. I claimed it for both of us. I never planned to exclude Teo from the winnings." Patricia rose for cross-examination, her measured steps toward the witness stand carrying the weight of inevitable justice. Nicole shifted uncomfortably, her designer blouse suddenly feeling too tight at the collar. "Mrs. Bryant," Patricia began, her voice deceptively gentle, "you testified that you claimed this ticket for both of you. Is that correct?" "Yes, that's right," Nicole answered, attempting to project sincerity. "Then perhaps you can explain something for the court." Patricia retrieved a document. "When Mr. Bryant specifically asked you about the lottery ticket that Saturday morning, why did you tell him you'd checked, and it was worth maybe $1 or $2? Nicole's composure cracked slightly. I wanted to surprise him." "Surprise him?" Patricia's tone sharpened. "By filing for divorce 3 days later? That was different. The timing was just coincidence?" Patricia interrupted. "You filed for divorce Tuesday morning, less than 24 hours after claiming the prize. Then, on Wednesday, you had your attorneys file an emergency motion to evict Mr. Bryant from his home. Was that part of the surprise, too?" Sweat beaded on Nicole's forehead. "Things were complicated. I needed space to think." "You offered him $150,000 to disappear," Patricia stated flatly. "Less than 0.05% of the prize. That's your idea of sharing with your husband of 14 years? I was being generous. He's just a teacher, that's more than—" Nicole caught herself, but too late. Murmurs rippled through the courtroom. Patricia walked to the evidence table, retrieved her tablet. "Let's discuss some text messages you sent to Mr. Clark." She began reading. "He's so predictable. Same numbers every week. If those stupid tickets ever hit big, that's my ticket out. I just need to be ready to grab it first." She looked up. "You sent that 4 months before the winning drawing. Care to explain how that aligns with your testimony about sharing?" Nicole's hands trembled. That's taken out of context. Here's another, sent 1 week before the win. Tickets are always in kitchen drawer. He checks Saturday mornings like clockwork. If we ever win, I'll claim it Friday night or Saturday before he even knows. Was that taken out of context, too? You're twisting everything, Nicole burst out, tears starting. Teo's making me look like a monster. I'm the victim here. The victim? Patricia's eyebrows rose. Let's discuss your internet search history from the week before the drawing. She displayed screenshots. How to claim lottery ticket in Pennsylvania. Can spouse claim lottery ticket without other spouse knowing? Lottery ticket ownership law, Pennsylvania. Those were I was just curious about. And this security footage of you offering Mr. Rivera $50,000 to forget Mr. Bryant's purchase pattern? Was that just curiosity too? Nicole broke down completely, mascara running. You don't understand. I deserved more than what Teo could give me. Desmond promised. Ah, yes, Mr. Clark. Patricia nodded to the bailiff, who wheeled in a video screen. Let's watch his deposition, shall we? Desmond's face appeared, looking uncomfortable but resigned. Yeah, Nicole told me weeks before they won that she was planning to take Teo's ticket if they hit it big. She said she'd been watching his patterns, knew exactly when to grab it. Said she just needed to wait for the right moment. Did she discuss what would happen after claiming the prize? She said she'd file for divorce immediately, use the money to get Teo out of the house fast. She had it all planned out. And your relationship with Mrs. Bryant. How did that begin? Desmond shifted uneasily. I targeted her, if we're being honest, at an industry event. I knew she was married but unhappy with her lifestyle. I researched her before approaching, learned about her marriage, her job, her ambitions. I knew someone like that would be useful. The courtroom sat in stunned silence. Nicole had collapsed forward, shoulders shaking with sobs, while her attorney, Catherine Price, stared straight ahead, lips pressed thin. Patricia's closing argument cut through the heavy air like a blade. This case is simple, Your Honor. Theodore Bryant purchased a lottery ticket with his own money, using numbers meaningful to his family, following a 14-year pattern. His wife stole that ticket, lied to state officials, claimed a prize that wasn't hers, then used stolen funds to destroy her husband's life. Pennsylvania law is clear. The purchaser owns the prize. Mr. Bryant is that purchaser. Every dollar belongs to him. Catherine Price's closing felt hollow in comparison, relying on technical arguments about marital property and weak appeals to sympathy. Despite these revelations, we must consider the legal framework of marital assets. Judge Henderson deliberated for only 3 hours before returning with his ruling. His face was stern as he began. This court finds by clear and convincing evidence that Theodore Bryant purchased the lottery ticket in question. Mrs. Bryant's claim that she purchased the ticket is contradicted by security footage, bank records, witness testimony, and her own provably false statements to the Lottery Commission. He continued, voice carrying absolute authority. The court further finds that Mrs. Bryant knowingly and intentionally misappropriated her husband's property, made false statements to state officials, and used the fraudulently obtained funds to cause additional harm to Mr. Bryant. His ruling was comprehensive and devastating. The entire lottery prize belonged to Theodore Bryant as rightful purchaser. Nicole must return all remaining proceeds immediately. All assets purchased with lottery funds must be surrendered for liquidation. Nicole was liable for conversion, fraud, and unjust enrichment, and must pay Theodore Bryant's legal fees of $247,000. The case would be referred to the district attorney for criminal prosecution consideration. Nicole's face went chalk white. She slumped in her chair, hysterical sobs racking her body, while Catherine Price attempted awkward comfort. From the gallery, Desmond stood without a word and walked out, never looking back. Through it all, Teo sat quietly at the plaintiff's table, his posture relaxed for the first time in months. Patricia reached over and squeezed his shoulder. Justice, finally, complete. The aftermath of the verdict hit like a tidal wave, washing away Nicole's false kingdom in a matter of weeks. The numbers told a devastating story of waste and hubris. In just 10 weeks since claiming the prize, she had burned through $8.7 million as if it were endless. The $5.3 million mansion in Wayne stood as a monument to her excess, while $325,000 in luxury vehicles sat in the circular driveway collecting dust. Desmond had managed to extract $1.4 million for his creditors and investments before disappearing, while nearly $1 million had evaporated in parties, designer clothes, and flashy jewelry. The final insult, $700,000 in legal fees for a defense that ultimately crumbled. The asset recovery process was swift and merciless. The mansion went into immediate foreclosure, though Teo's team managed to orchestrate a quick sale that recovered $3.8 million. The Mercedes S-Class and Porsche 911 were repossessed and auctioned, bringing back $290,000. Jewelry, designer handbags, and other luxury items were liquidated through high-end consignment, recovering a mere $140,000. Nicole's separate bank accounts were frozen and seized, their contents absorbed into the judgment. When the dust settled, Nicole was left with approximately $11,000 to her name, less than 10% of the $150,000 she had so condescendingly offered Teo to disappear quietly from his own life. The irony was lost on no one. Her unraveling continued with brutal efficiency. She crawled back to her former employer, pride in tatters, only to be told her position had been filled. And besides, they preferred to maintain a more professional corporate culture. Her family, already distant since the scandal broke, remained largely estranged. Her mother would occasionally answer texts with one-word responses, while her younger sister had blocked her number entirely, mortified by the public spectacle. The friends who had celebrated at her mansion parties, who had posted enthusiastic congratulations on social media, who had believed her narrative about Teo being bitter and jealous, now avoided her calls. The verdict had exposed her completely, and Philadelphia's social circles had no room for someone branded as a thief and a fraud. Reality hit hard as Nicole moved into a small one-bedroom apartment in a working-class neighborhood, the kind of place she had once sneered at as beneath her standards. The only job she could secure was an entry-level administrative assistant position at a small insurance company, earning $38,000 annually. It was a special kind of humiliation to realize she now made less than the teacher she had betrayed. The district attorney's office ultimately declined to pursue criminal charges, deciding the civil judgment and complete financial ruin were punishment enough. Still, Nicole lived under that shadow, knowing any misstep, any violation of the judgment's terms, could trigger prosecution. Desmond's fate proved equally satisfying to those who believed in justice. His bankruptcy filing couldn't protect him from the $1.4 million he had taken from Nicole. The Pennsylvania Real Estate Commission suspended his license after an ethics investigation. His developments failed spectacularly, and he ended up taking a position as a property manager for a small apartment complex in Reading, PA. A stunning fall for someone who had once boasted about building luxury empires. The Philadelphia Inquirer's feature story, Teacher Wins $500 Lottery, Twice, How Theodore Bryant Fought Back Against Fraud, turned Nicole into a cautionary tale. Local news stations picked up the story. She became infamous, the woman who stole her husband's lottery ticket and lost everything. 6 months after the verdict, Nicole requested a meeting. Teo reluctantly agreed to see her at a neutral coffee shop in Center City. She arrived looking diminished. No designer labels, no perfectly styled hair, no confident stride. The woman who had once commanded rooms with her presence now seemed to shrink into herself. "I know you won't forgive me," she began, hands wrapped tightly around her coffee cup. I'm not asking for that. I need to understand why you fought so hard. You could have settled, taken half, moved on. Why destroy me completely? Teo studied her for a long moment, his response measured, but final. You didn't just take money, Nicole. You stole something I earned, lied about it to the world, used it to humiliate me and erase me from my own life, and then tried to make me believe I was wrong for fighting back. You wanted to see if I'd just disappear quietly. If I'd accept being erased because you decided I wasn't worth your time anymore. He leaned forward slightly, voice calm but firm. I couldn't accept that. Not because of the money, because of what you tried to make me believe about my own worth. You bet that I'd be too broken, too poor, too beneath you to fight. You were wrong. They never spoke again after that day, though Nicole would try repeatedly over the coming months, calling from blocked numbers, hoping to find some closure or perhaps absolution. She found neither. 1 year after the verdict, Teo had transformed the tragedy into triumph. He established a $45 million education fund for Philadelphia public schools, created a $15 million scholarship program for future teachers, and paid off mortgages for his mother, Lorraine, brother Isaiah, sister Janet, and the mentor teachers who had shaped his career. The remaining $220 million was invested conservatively through ethical firms. He purchased a modest 3-bedroom home in his old West Philadelphia neighborhood for $485,000, comfortable but not ostentatious. After a semester sabbatical spent healing and volunteering, he returned to teaching at a different school. He wrote a book about integrity and self-worth that resonated with readers nationwide. Most importantly, he began building a genuine relationship with Renee Harper, a school counselor who saw him for who he truly was. I hope you enjoyed that one. Be sure to like the video and subscribe so you don't miss the next story. I've picked out 2 more for you that I think you'll really like.